Welcome to my series on bread making. Today I'm going to start with one of my favourites, this Knead Turkish bread. It's soft, spongy and packed full of flavour. You can eat it with dips, kebabs, as a sandwich bread or just with a bit of butter. I can't recommend it enough, so let's make it. I'm going to start by adding a small amount of flour to a large mixing bowl. To that I'll add sugar, yeast and warm water. Whisk until smooth, then cover and rest for 25 to 30 minutes or until it's doubled in size and has a foamy texture. This stage is kind of like a pre-fermentation where you allow a small amount of the total flour to ferment first before adding the rest of the flour to make the dough, rather than adding all the flour together and allowing it to ferment or rise at the same time. I've seen this technique used in many bread recipes and wanted to try it for myself. I mean, is it really worth the extra step? So I made this bread both ways and the short answer is yes, it is totally worth it. I think it gives a much softer and lighter crumb when you make it this way. Now going with the rest of the water, flour and salt. Then using a spatula, mix together to form a dough. At first the mixture may look a little rough and lumpy, but as you continue to stir, the mixture will come together and become smooth. It won't come away from the sides or form a clean ball like you might expect from a standard bread dough. It's meant to be wet and sticky like this. Now cover it with a damp towel and leave it to rise for about an hour or until it's doubled in size. While we're waiting, let's make the glaze, which is used to top the bread before baking. Simply add an egg yolk, oil and yoghurt to a bowl, then whisk till smooth and set aside. Now let's get back to the dough, which you can see has risen nicely. As I said, this dough is sticky, so the first thing we need to do is sprinkle the work surface generously with flour before tipping out the dough. Now this is probably the trickiest part of the recipe. With very light fingers, coat all the surface of the dough with flour, then roll the dough a few times until it loses a bit of its stickiness and becomes easier to handle. Be gentle here, you don't want to knead the dough or push out any air. Next, form the dough into a log and then cut it out into 3 equal parts. Now form your dough into smooth balls. You can do this by rolling the dough along the edge of your hand, as you can see that I'm doing here. Once they're all done, cover them with a towel and let them rest for 5 minutes. Clean your work surface, then it's time to shape and finish the breads for baking. Get your glaze and a baking sheet lined with baking paper. Place a dough ball onto the baking sheet and dip your fingers into the glaze. Now gently press the dough out with your fingers until it forms a circle about 1 centimetre thick. Cover it with cling film and let it rise for another 25 to 30 minutes or until it's noticeably puffed up. To finish, brush over some more glaze and then it's time to make the traditional pattern. Using the tips of your fingers, press down to make indents into the dough. You want to press down enough so that you feel the base of the baking sheet. You don't want to break the dough, but you do want to push all the way down. Start around 1.5 centimetres from the edge and form a circular pattern first. Next, make straight lines across the circle, then either go diagonal in the opposite direction if you want a baklava style pattern, or just do straight lines in the opposite direction if you want squares. Either looks lovely, so choose what you prefer. Finish with a sprinkle of sesame and Nigella seeds and you're done. Now place in a preheated oven and bake for 15 to 20 minutes or until golden. And there you have it, fresh out the oven, beautifully golden on the outside and wonderfully soft in the middle. Now grab your favourite dip, a piece of cheese or a bit of butter and enjoy.